Hey UConn Nation, it's KK Arnold here. If you're looking for the latest UConn women's basketball content, go subscribe to Listen Up to Phil and Ryan. Go Huskies!
Phil and Ryan, listen up. Ryan, boring episodes, boring no more on Listen Up. Let's go right over to the alert. According to ESPN, UConn's Geno Auriemma agrees, or rather signs, 5-year contract valued at $18.7 million ahead of 40th season at UConn, at the school. Auriemma Inc.'s extension. I am leaning on I can't wait to see what everybody says here on this Tuesday night, rather, heading into Wednesday morning. We hope that you all catch this episode tomorrow, if not tonight. Ryan, we know that this is big. This is bigger than what people think. I'm leaning towards the side of being surprised. I really am. And what this contract carries with it, he already cemented his legacy. We already know about the GOAT status and this and that. To me, if you want my 2 cents, Ryan, I really think this says something about this core group that they have put together right now, especially with Sarah Strong coming to this school. And obviously, Paige Becker's having maybe 1 or 2 more years. I really think, Ryan, because think about it, when you get a new head coach, now I'm not saying any of these assistant coaches on UConn's roster is I'm not saying that, but take into account how many times we saw comments, Ryan, that said, nah, Geno's done, turn him over, send him here, send him there, tell him to retire. Not yet. Not yet. And I think it's a beautiful thing. You know why? Because Ryan, you don't know what to expect. And to me, it's very dangerous. Not saying anything bad about these assistant coaches at UConn, but very dangerous when you move on from a true veteran like Geno. Ryan, 5 more years. To me, 5 more years and not only winning, and not only that P word perfect, nobody's perfect, but they damn near are, right? Ryan, 5 more years of contending for national championships.
Well, it's obviously not going to be the same when Gino does decide to hang it up, but I'm so happy and so glad that the GOAT is coming back for 5 more seasons. Of course, this will extend him through the 2029 season, so get him for another 5 years, which is great news. I'm not really sure if I'm surprised or I'm not really sure how to feel. Honestly, I didn't really know what to expect. I really didn't know, expect how many years he would continue to coach. Obviously, he wasn't going to go anywhere else. It was either, sign an extension, which I'm so glad he did, or retire. But, I like what you said about it. It really speaks volumes to this group that we have now. I think it's a pretty special group, and we've been talking about it during the off season, how we're expecting pretty big things. And I think this contract extension speaks a little bit to kind of Gino's belief in this group, and I think it speaks a lot. I think we got a lot of great women coming into the program, and I'm so glad that Gino is going to be able to teach these women for at least another 5 years, not only this class, but the rookie classes, the freshman classes that we're going to continue to bring in, because Gino's impact, you just can't really describe it in a word or a sentence. The impact that he's brought to this program, the UConn Huskies program, to all of the women that have played at UConn. You just can't really describe what he's done for the game and for this program. So I'm so glad that we'll be able to witness him coach another 5 seasons at UConn. And like you said, hopefully that comes with a lot more winning as well.
Again, Geno Auriemma makes big headlines on Listen Up on this Tuesday night. Ryan, as you join me, I thank you for joining me on June the 4th already, Tuesday. Again, we hope everyone joins us tonight or tomorrow morning. We can't wait to hear what they have to say about this. Geno Auriemma. What is it, very quickly before we get into comments, what is your take on you and I, all them phone calls, all the text messages for the last 2 or 3 years predicting, again, I don't want to get heavy into this conversation, but predicting, okay, Ryan, who is going to fill them big shoes of head coach Auriemma, right? Who's going to fill them shoes? Ryan, I think that all them predictions you and I made, in my opinion, totally gone, thrown out the door. It could be one of these coaches once his time is done at UConn. It could be, and the reason I bring it up, 5-year deal. That's a pretty lengthy extension, in my opinion. And the only reason why I bring it up, a lot of these assistant coaches, they could end up, hanging it up. They could hang their shoes up, their pants, their jacket, whatever you want to hang up. They could go elsewhere to another school. 5 years, Ryan, that's a lot of time. And we know how not only opportunities for these athletes in the sports world is presented to these athletes, but the coaches too. The coaches, one night you go to bed, right? And you're a fan of this head coach. The next morning you wake up and you're not, it seems like, no matter if it's football, basketball, whatever. I mean, they move. So I don't know. I wanted to get your take very quickly on, I think you and I, you know who I'm talking about. We predicted that she might step up into that big role, but now it's like, I don't even know now, like 5 years.
Well, anything can still happen, but it is a little surprising because Gino did, of course, turn 70 this past year, so he'll be coaching until he's 75, obviously going into his 40th season. So, like he said, I think he interview after he signed the contract, he said it's kind of hard to believe he's been here over half his life at UConn. So that is kind of hard to believe. But yeah, I think that it's a great chance that some of these assistant coaches, after Gino does decide to retire, maybe they still will get a chance, whether it's somebody on the staff at UConn right now, or somebody that's out there in the college basketball world. It's so hard to predict a replacement. I don't really think anybody would want that job. It's impossible to replace somebody like Gino, but I'm glad we don't have to worry about it now for at least another 5 seasons. We don't have to worry about Gino replacement for a while.
Locked and loaded, right? Locked and loaded. And yeah, that's my point to you. I mean, it could be someone after him that we don't even have a clue. We've never even heard of their name before, which I highly doubt that. We will probably have heard their name a couple times, maybe. But yeah, very interesting, Ryan. Again, 11 NCAA Division I tournament winner, 23 NCAA regional Final Fours. Man, look, the list goes on. And again, with this new deal, we will get down into this video. UConn Huskies most underrated opponent in 2024. Ryan, they came through for you again, and they left some comments. Jason D'Amico said, Gino knows that his ladies need those tough out-of-conference games to acquire a baseline of how his team measures up against quality squads, especially with how weak the Big East has been the past couple of years. These tough games are just as much for the coaching. Listen to this. These tough games are just as much for the coaching staff as they are the players. Great show, boys. Peace. And Ryan, this comment was left 2 days ago. PSA, if there are any VR users out there, the WNBA has partnered with Meta, and you can now watch WNBA games in VR. I watched almost every Meta VR NBA game this year, and there is nothing like sitting courtside watching the game in real time. It's amazing. Trust Jason. We do trust Jason, Ryan. And maybe he had a little bit of a secret, maybe, before this news came out about Gino.
Yeah, he might have. Maybe he has an inside source that we don't know about. I do actually have a VR headset, so I'll probably have to try that out. That does seem pretty cool. It's amazing what we're doing with technology now. But yeah, I think it's interesting the all these non-conference opponents, and I do agree it does kind of help the coaching staff, I think, get a feel for where the team is. We talked about it before, scheduling all these tougher opponents, getting ready for March Madness. I think it does a lot to prepare this team, and not just the players, but the coaching staff as well. So they just know what kind of things to point out to help these players improve. So, I think it helps the whole entire team out.
The disruptive one. I want to stop scheduling South Carolina. That is just an automatic L at this point. I don't see the benefit to UConn. I mean, maybe I would lean that way, Ryan, during the regular season, but I don't want to talk like that in March.
Well, like I just said about preparing UConn for March Madness, I think, it's definitely been a negative the past couple of years, obviously losing to South Carolina consecutive years, but I think it does do a lot to help prepare UConn for the tournament. And, if we end up playing South Carolina again in March Madness, if it's in the Final Four national championship, we would have already played them, got to know them a little bit. So I think it does a lot to help prepare this team. But, of course, all of the non-conference opponents that we play, maybe they're not quite at the level that South Carolina is at, but they're all still definitely pretty elite opponents. So it's not always an automatic W. We know this team is almost perfect. We win a lot, but there's a lot of a lot of tough non-conference opponents on the schedule this year besides South Carolina.
Yeah, and Adam Evans was one of the first comments on this video, so I appreciate him for still coming through with us, even though, well, we do have some good off-season news to talk about now. Some busy, this was a busy headline, right? But kind of still slow, in June, July. I know you told me summer workouts are starting, Ryan. We'll
Yeah.
be back for all of that, covering that, things to look for, what they are. Hopefully, a lot of social media posts so we can break down what we're seeing and what everybody else is seeing. And then this person, Arthur, made a good point, because I believe this name does not get brought up enough, and I think it will in the future, Ryan, as soon as this season coming up. Audie Crooks. Audie Crooks is a beast on the court. She can do it all. She can rebound and score. She clogs the middle with her size. If my memory is correct, Audie has a history with Ice Brady. Ooh, Ryan, I don't know if Ryan knows about that. I don't. I have UConn at number 5 for the preseason, and the winner is me.
Yeah, well, I think when he brought that up now, I think I do remember seeing something about Ice Brady and Audie Crooks possibly having some history. I think I do remember seeing that. But yeah, I think she's in for another heck of a season in her sophomore campaign. Hopefully, we have some of our own Husky players that are in for another great sophomore campaign. But I think playing against Audie Crooks is going to be tough. It's going to be tough to try to guard the inside. She had a heck of a season as a freshman. Like I said, I think she's averaged 19 points as a freshman for Iowa State. So I'm sure sophomore season she'll be back ready to go, and probably be leading the Cyclones this season.
Ryan, part of our purpose in life is to build a legacy, a consistent pattern of building into the lives of others. He's already done it, but we get to witness it, you and I and everybody else right here on Listen Up, for 5 more years. Phil and Rye on Listen Up.